Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing out there? Thank you for joining me this afternoon for another in our series on tools that can help financial service professionals, and hint, any professional who provides and sells a service to people, but the tools that those people can use to become more effective sales Sherpas for their prospects and clients, the people that they work with. Really excited for today's session as we talk about something which is on a lot of people's minds right now, how to really leverage social media, and specifically what social media platforms you should be on. By the way, if you have not had a chance to watch all of the episodes in this series, we are putting all of the recordings on our YouTube channel that has all of the recordings from this series on Sales Sherpa tools for financial service professionals. It also has all of our videos from last month's series where we were talking specifically about small businesses. It actually has, gosh, I think we're over a couple hundred videos now from both the LinkedIn Lives, but all of the videos that I create and share content through. So definitely take a look at that. In fact, if I push the right button here, I can actually pull up the, there we go, the URL for our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/user/David JP Fisher. That's who I am. It's kind of a long name, so that's why everybody just calls me D Fish. And if you are joining us live, some of you might be watching this on YouTube already, but if you're joining us live, go ahead and put in the comments below what city, state, zip code, part of the country, part of the world that you're joining us from. Always good to know where everybody is connecting with us from. But let us dive in, because these are very short. Let's dive in and talk about exactly what social media platforms you should be using. And the reason why I want to address this is because we've had some great sessions recently on kind of how to build credibility, build trust in the conversation with someone. That's great when you're having a conversation, but one of the things that we're really looking to do with social media is to help us start conversations, to stay in front of people's eyeballs, to get in front of the eyeballs from new people that you haven't met yet, right? So we really want to make sure that we are leveraging these platforms to make sure that we're connecting with the people that we want to. What has happened, though, is especially in financial services where you have some compliance issues that really in the beginning of the social media trend, let's go back, let's say 10 years ago, people weren't on anything, right? They were saying, hey, compliance won't let me do it. And so they didn't have to worry about going on any platform, and maybe they could get into LinkedIn a little bit, or maybe a little bit of Twitter, Facebook here and there, depending on the company they were with. But there wasn't much opportunity. And as we've seen the industry start to shift and evolve and use all of these platforms, or at least allow the advisor, allow the insurance agent, allow the people who are bound by these compliance regulations, as we've seen them open up and allow those people to go online, now there's almost this challenge where I've gotten this question so many times. In fact, yesterday, someone was asking me like, well, which one should I be on? You know, should I be on LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook and Pinterest and Instagram and TikTok? You know, there's all these different places to be. It seems like they're all important. I hear about them all the time. Where should I spend my time? And what I would suggest to you before you decide where you're going to spend your time. Now, obviously you're on LinkedIn, or else you wouldn't be watching this. But before you actually tactically go, I'm going to go on this platform, I'm going to go on that platform, ask yourself a couple of questions. Who do I want to engage with? Demographically, think about who your target audience is. You know, is it a professional? Is it a retiree? Is it a business owner? Is it somebody who's a little younger, maybe just starting out in their career, starting out a family? But put a little thought into who is that ideal person for you to connect with, for you to engage, the person who you want to be a sales Sherpa for. and then look at the different avenues that you have to engage with them through social media, because not every social media platform is the same, right? And they're not trying to be. LinkedIn is different than Facebook, is different than Instagram. And they serve different functions, and they serve different functions for different audiences. And what I'm going to suggest to you is that whatever time you have that you can focus on using social media to position yourself as that go-to guide, as that resource, it's almost always, I mean, there's exceptions, but my guess is you're not this exception. It's almost always better to be on a smaller number of platforms in a robust fashion than to just spread yourself thin around a lot of platforms, because you don't really have attention or focus on any of them. And that's not what we want to do. So when I work with professionals, I'm biased. We're here on LinkedIn. Let's talk about LinkedIn. LinkedIn is usually a place that most professionals need to spend some time on. They need to have a good presence. They need to have a good profile. They're going to be able to engage with existing clients, with colleagues, with partners, with networking partners, referral centers of influence who are referral partners. Oh, sorry about that. That was a car that just sped by outside. But there's a lot of good that comes from having those conversations. It is very much like a online professional networking event or online conference in a business setting. Now, once you expand out of there, this again goes to who that demographic is. Twitter can be useful, depending on if you've invested the time and energy to connect with people who also use Twitter, or if there are some influencers in the industry, some experts that you want to follow what they're posting because they might be sharing great content. Could be really useful. Facebook, again, I mean, I'll be very blunt. I'm not on Facebook very often, and I talk about social media. It's just not somewhere where my audience is, and it's not somewhere where the types of conversations that I want to have on a professional setting are happening. That might be different. You might have your clients there. By the way, if you have more of a target audience that skews older, Facebook might not be bad. Kind of the interesting trend is that very few young people are using Facebook as much. And kind of the joke is, well, hey, once my parents got on it, I got off. But there is kind of, over the last couple of years, the biggest growing demographic on LinkedIn was over 55. So, hey, maybe if that's where your audience is, there's some value in spending some time there. And you can kind of think about this with Instagram. If you like photos and video, and the audience you want to connect with is there, do it. Pinterest historically has been incredibly skewed towards the female demographic. If a lot of your clients are women, like let's say that you have a practice that serves women business owners, hey, you might want to be on Pinterest. That might be a great idea. And you can, again, go through all of the options that you have. But again, pick the 2 or 3 best and focus on them, because then you can have deep presence. You can have a deep and robust engagement there with your audience, because it's not just about showing up, but it's about showing up and then doing something while you're there, right? And about creating those conversations, creating that engagement, staying visible, so that even if your connection doesn't need what you're offering now, when they are in need, you are the person that they reach out to. And that's really what that Sales Sherpa is. And you have to kind of position yourself and stay visible and relevant until they need your guidance. Okay. So that's the way to think about social media. Don't think about just, I'm going to be everywhere. Go, I'm going to be set and in place really well. And again, I'm going to encourage it to be LinkedIn, but it's going to be probably 1 or 2 other platforms plus that. And the other ones, you don't have to be on. One thing I've even heard, and I'm going to give credit to my friend Andy Crestadina, who I think first suggested this to me. But if you don't want to be on a platform, you still want to have a presence there, sign up, log in, and in your bio, just say, thanks for stopping by. If you really want to talk with me, come to this other platform. So I know people who on Twitter and their Twitter bio, it's, hey, this is me. I'm not on Twitter very much. Come talk to me on LinkedIn or Facebook, or, you know, on Instagram. I'm not really on Instagram. I think I've posted 2 pictures ever, but it says in my Instagram bio, hey, come find me on Twitter, because it's much more likely that I'll see anything that you share with me there. So those are some ideas on how you can practically decide where you're going to spend your time. And so even going into the rest of this week and into next week, ask yourself the question of, again, who is that target demographic? But then start to really be okay with focusing in on a couple of platforms and being okay with leaving some out. That's totally okay. You do not have to be everywhere, because honestly, you probably don't have the bandwidth. Most of us don't. You know, the companies that are on all those platforms are companies usually with a couple people doing it, and the resources to do that. You don't want to stretch your bandwidth too thin. Okay, so that's what we got for today. That wraps up this week as well. For those of you who are joining us live, again, thank you for joining me live. Appreciate it. And we'll be back next week. We've got another special guest, and we're going to be putting a bow on this whole series for the month. If there's anything I can help you with, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask. Happy to help in any way I can. Best way to do that is just shoot me a message here on LinkedIn. And until then, have a great day. Bye.